Welcome, everyone. This is our third session in our study of the book Making Room about the act of Christian hospitality. And this week we're going to be talking about the power of recognition as a key component to what happens when hospitality is practiced. And one of the things that the author talks about is how the act of hospitality, whether giving or receiving hospitality, is an act that can almost provide a different or an alternate sense of value and who's valuable and what's valuable in the world in terms of who we spend our time with and how we spend our time. So I wanted to hear from you guys to talk a little bit about the power of recognition and what kind of role that has in the practice of hospitality.
I think a lot of hospitality is offering hospitality is seeing the person, recognizing the person, valuing the person. In the story of the Good Samaritan, the people just pass by on the other side, don't look, they go around, they don't recognize the person. So I think rightly understanding hospitality is actually seeing and recognizing and valuing and finding dignity in the other. We're created in the image of God, and so to recognize that image in the people who are in need of hospitality is a large part of what we're doing. And then to accept and embrace that image of God in the other is very important. When you're in a large room with a famous person perhaps, and he or she makes eye contact with you and maybe even calls you by name, Katie, Kira, that's a touching, warm feeling. I was in a room with Jimmy Carter, the former president, one time, and I bumped into him and I knew his name, but he didn't know my name. But how powerful would it have been if he just turned around and said, "Hey, John." Well, God in the prophet said, "I've called you by name and you are mine." And what a powerful experience that is. And I think that's the essence of hospitality. Fred Rogers of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, who we're using throughout the season of Lent in various capacities, Fred said that if you know the story of another, there's no one you cannot love once you know their story. And I think that's true. Once you actually know a person and hear their story of pain and heartache and joy and frustration, that person becomes much easier to love. So they're only aliens and strangers as long as we don't know their story. But recognizing, valuing, seeing, being at table, and hearing their story, making eye contact, makes them much more lovable to us.
Yeah, and just to go off of that, well, first, I like that you called him Fred, because it makes him sound like you were close friends. But that a big thing for us as Christians is the table, that the communion table, that we all come to the table, that all are welcome to the table, that it's, in our tradition, not an altar. It's a table. And looking at how Jesus lived and taught that eating together expresses an acceptance and a quality, dignity, recognition. And there's so many stories of Jesus being welcomed in people's houses, and then also who he invited to join the meal and the reaction that would happen because of the scandalous person he would invite to the meal, because in their eyes he was giving this person value, dignity, and they went from tax collectors that weren't liked, wealthy that weren't liked, to poor and sick that were discarded. So across the board, he invited them in and had meals, and people's reactions just show how much coming around the table gives people dignity, and that it's not about I'm Jesus and I'm great and I'm letting you in. It's, hey, let's come together. It's a friendship. It's a relationship. It's a form. And, yeah.
I think that word invitation is so important. We work on an invitation a lot in the church, and sometimes we do better than others. And I feel like I'm always inviting people into something that's part of my job. Inviting someone to a new members class, inviting someone to a fellowship group, inviting someone into a study group, inviting someone into a mission project. And we really struggle with there being so much information. We're all flooded with information all the time. What is the most effective way to provide an invitation? And right now, I sort of feel like invitation is most effective right now when it's one-on-one, when you're recognizing the other, when you're saying their name. Group emails don't work anymore. Nobody reads a group email anymore.
Reply to all.
Right. But if I say, Kira, I would like to invite you because I know a little bit about your life and I would love to include you in this group. It says, I know you, I'm thinking about you, and I want you to be included in this. And you are part of this. So there's this kind of message of inclusion when we're recognizing the other that is deeply meaningful. I mean, think about how many times, even when you can't attend something, you think, oh, I'm so happy to just have been invited to that. That they remembered me is such a significant recognition of your existence in the world.
Right.
Christine Pohl in the book talks about hospitality as an antidote to fragmentation in our world. And we're all so kind of disconnected, lonely in our own private world. And hospitality, the act of invitation, the act of inclusion, the act of togetherness is this connecting antidote to that kind of sense of alienation from one another. And that is an invitation into God's blessings in our lives, and it's just a beautiful thing.
Nice.
Great.
Thank you.